This is part 2 of the Moonshine Leader. So looking at the kind of dynamics of social interaction, one of the questions we always ask is, do you have these written agreements, as an example, right? And most teams do in some form. I'm assuming, as a good Scrum Master, you kind of encourage that. Okay, let's write down kind of what the these written agreements are. So then the next question that we ask is, hey, what happens when somebody doesn't follow the agreement, right? So example would be that we said that we need to show up at our stand-ups plus or minus 2 minutes, right? Something like that, right?
Sounds familiar.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's become a taboo word now.
Stand-ups?
No, on time.
On time. And then, what happens, somebody's like, all right, always 5 minutes late, right? Or something like that. So what do you do? Who tells that person, right? So the Scrum Master's role says, hey, listen, agreement number 5, it's be on time at the stand-ups. You're not following agreement number 5.
Not a good example right now.
Exactly.
So actually, we have these written agreements, we have this definition of done, we have so many of them listed everywhere in our room, all the rules and regulations. It's written like 15 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't think anyone even bothered to see what that is. To be honest, because the rules, more enforced rules, as a human being thing, they don't fly. It has to be natural. They have to come and
absolutely.
If you say that one check box that you ought to do this,
right. So in fact, I would say we met at least one team, maybe a couple of teams that they don't. I mean, they say, yeah, I think we have those written somewhere, but we're not. They wouldn't even be able to tell you what's on the rules and the kind of agreements, if you would. But they say, well, how do you keep each other in check, right? If something is kind of not happening. So we'll just tell that person right there. We just say, hey,
me.
There's kind of two, I mean, you're pointing something important. It's kind of like two different scenarios where the working agreements, I prefer to say working agreements instead of rules, because working agreements implies we actually talked about it and agreed to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's up there somewhere in the abstract. But I think there's two different possible scenarios for we don't have it in writing. One is we never made any agreements, so there's nothing to point to. And the other is we really internalized it, so we don't have to look at the writing on the line.
Right.
And just do this as a norm.
Yes, and again, there's a lot of history behind this. The teams used to coming between their half an hour stand-up time. When I joined this year, when I joined the team back, I changed it. I got them to come. I got everybody to come at the same time. And the reason for that is because I want each of them to pay attention to every story's update, not just their own story's update. And yes, some understood it, accepted it, some lot of pushback. But I think we've gotten huge leaps and bounds, come a long way. But to address your original question, it's my job to tell them.
And now Dan is helping.
And now Dan's helping. But I haven't seen the team members tell each other yet that.
It's really interesting. We had everybody this morning, and Dan was sitting right there, and he actually, when a question came up, he would provide an addition. Somebody answered, he would provide that person a question just to kind of prompt a little more about, conversation and thinking. So he wasn't answering any of the questions really per se, right? Because I was thinking, oh man, Dan's going to be in the room.
Which is very unlike Dan.
He's going to talk the whole time, but he did not at all.
He's getting that feedback that he needs to build Dan in his. He needs to build multiple Dans in the team. So.
Right. And so he did that really, really well, I thought. What do you think?
I agree. I think that he waited to see what people would say and one of those questions, and then would add more context if he thought it was helpful.
Yeah, it was very good. Very good. one of the areas that we talked about is feedback loops, right? And so we share with teams. Most teams have 3 feedback loops. Other teams the service teams have 4 feedback loops, which is cool. It was a surprise to some of the service teams we talked to because they were like, "Wow, I have 4 feedback loops. I didn't know that." But anyway, the 3 are basically the team itself, right? So it's really all of you and them together. Let's think of it as a loop. I just view it as a circle, and everybody's node in that circle, and the information goes both directions, right? And everybody can ask anybody anything and share written or verbal or any kind of information around what you're working on, right? So that typical conversation around that is obviously how do you provide feedback to each other, how direct are you, how do you use, how do you go, and that sort of thing. Second feedback loop is with other teams that are part of the work typically, right? That could be Echo, that could be golf, or whatever other teams and people that are involved in that sort of thing. And the third loop is really the EV, the customer, the TAC, or the various external entities that provide information and also need information from the team. Right. So we ask, what do you think about these loops? How are they working? And any concerns, questions that you have. So anyway, so that was the question to them. So the question to you is the same. What if you look at those 3 feedback loops in the context of moonshine, right? The first one being is how they interact with one another and provide, feedback or ask questions and all of that. Kind of what's the main dynamic there, you think?
What do you think, Cindy?
There are a few people who talks more, right? They provide feedback to each other, but I don't see everybody's doing that.
It depends. If it's a non-controversial question or feedback, they would do it. Mm-hmm. If it is when you're getting into that gray area or that soft thing, then I think it's a challenge.
Okay. If it's something clear, concrete, boom, they can provide feedback, you're saying?
Yeah.
Something a little more...
they know that...
That's clear.
Yeah, they will be hesitant. That's what I...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think some of them are good. They can openly probably talk to, you can openly tell the people. Some of them are quiet. They don't open up and it takes time. And the Scrum level, people go to the cross-functional thing, and there are some folks still, like Dan or Rajesh or some people, they go and talk to Igor and give them, hey, this is the feedback from you. We asked for something and we are not getting on time, right? We are wasting time. They do that sometimes, but I'm not saying all the team members go and do that in the cross-functional. Okay. But there are some people who can go talk to them and give the feedback, saying that we're not getting things in the right time, we're not getting a quality image, we're not getting a quality install. They keep talking about even vocab. There's a lot of feedback we gave to the vocab team that it's very hard to develop the code, there are so many issues. When you find something, it takes 2 sprints for you guys to give it to us. That's too long time for us to catch up, right? They do that. They do consider on the EV level, external validation EV level, not many of them are too much involved with the EV managers. I think that's us. Most of the time.
Yeah, we bring it back to the team.
So we give and release there, and when there is we are the one most of them give the feedback to the EV people, not the team. Yeah. Team is not involved much, but I'm not sure. Do we need to involve them there? Do they have enough time to go and see what's going on? I'm not sure.
Right, but they did say that they rely on all of you to provide feedback because they feel like you're connected at that third loop, if you would.
Yeah.
And there's something they need to know. Go ahead.
So for me, the feedback loop is like if I take a look at the retrospective, right, that occurs at most sprints. Again, like each of them have mentioned, there are 2 or 3 that are extremely loud, and then there are the rest that are very quiet. So depending on what the topic is, which story we're discussing, sometimes